Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a Dutch digital strategist grown in experience from a myriad of roles on corporate, creative, and media agency side. I even dipped my toes in entrepreneurship, where I built a social media strategy and production agency from two partners to a team of 15. I look forward to an open conversation about blunt Dutch people and challenges in the digital and creative world. And hopefully, we can touch upon the fun things in life, like the passion we share for interesting people around the world, or the one dinner that still stands as your best experience ever. I've been looking forward to spending some quality time talking with my friend with mind benefits, Jennifer. Let's go.
Hey friends, welcome to Tiny Little Victories. I'm your host, Jennifer Kite Powell, and on today's episode, we are going to talk to someone who is from the Netherlands, and this was somebody I met way back in the day in around 2007 when I was living in Amsterdam, and he was part of what I call the Dutch Mafia. His name is Mark de Kock, and Mark is a 20 plus year digital marketing visionary strategist. He started out sort of in the market before it was a market. And he's always been fascinated by human behavior and how activity or, behavior, if you're clicking on something, how does that change your behavior with something else? And, at that time, we really weren't doing so much clicking, but he was always fascinated by it. And he has had an amazing career and he's still having an amazing career. He worked at Sara Lee, Dewey Egberts, and I'm sure he's going to correct me on that brand name. He was a blogger and an event blogger for the Dutch Cowboys, which was sort of unheard of at the time, this troupe of writers in the business that were going out to various trade shows and reporting in on the coverage, creating this big blogosphere of content at the time. But he has some really interesting stories that he's going to share with us about, all the choices that he made in his career and how each one sort of contributed to the things that he's most passionate about, which is really talking to people and understanding their behavior and then creating campaigns and working with brands to make the right strategy for the market. So we're also going to talk about AI and what he thinks is going to happen with that. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I'm not going to give it away because I've not heard this theory before. And we're going to touch on some Dutch food because we almost have to, really. So I think that the best thing to do with this is just sit back and listen to his buttery honey voice as we talk about digital strategy, mobile strategy, and all the things that has led Mark to be the successful, innovative, a creative strategist that he is today. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Tiny Little Victories. I am still your host, Jennifer Kite Powell, and today I have an amazing guest for you, who's with me now on the phone, Mark de Kock, and he's in Switzerland. Are you in Switzerland? Is this true?
I know, at the moment I'm in Holland.
Okay, you see, people, I can't keep up with all of my international friends because sometimes they're in Switzerland, sometimes they're in Africa, sometimes they're in Holland. So you're back in Holland. Is this your thing?
Yeah.
You're back there. Didn't you leave and then come back, or?
No, I lived there for 4.5 years, and then sort of
Yes.
just before COVID happened, we decided to move back. So it was good on one hand, and still a bit strange on the other hand, because at the day that COVID lockdown happened in Holland, we were selling our house in Amsterdam. It was sort
What?
of that, yeah. It was. I've never had this kind of strange vibe. Thing. Okay, the whole world is going down, and my house needs to be
Yes.
sold. But but the good thing is we sold it very well
That's
still.
good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Well,
and now I live in Holland still, but a bit more rural.
okay, so that's right. So we're going to back up a little bit because I just like jumping right in. And for everybody's benefit, this is Mark de Kock. He is in the Netherlands, in Holland, and he has such an amazing career and such a very interesting path to where he got. But right now, I'll just tell you that he's the founder of brand PWRD Media, and they do a ton of digital media content, media communication, strategy. Literally, Mark helps startups and agencies just sort of push. I would say you guys like slam their digital efforts into high gear. But you've been doing this for a really, really long time. So I love that you've kept this consistency throughout your career. And we're going to maybe go back in the Wayback Machine a little bit, maybe go back to when you were starting with all of this, starting with all this content, starting with all this social strategy when there wasn't any. And you are a very mobile first person. Phew, that's a lot. But I mean, how would you describe yourself? As I just jumped in there and described you as
Well,
many things.
it's funny that you, when you sum it up,
Yeah.
it seems like there's method to the madness,
Okay. I love that.
and
I love that.
and I guess there is. I In the base of everything that I do is my interest of people. So I'm interested in why people do what they do, how they do it, what happens when they get in different context of more people or a different surrounding. And
Mhm.
I've combined that with my love for everything digital and interactive.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that's a better explanation than, I mean, I think that's true. When I first met you, I think you were working at Dewey Egbert's
yeah,
at the time, at Sarah
yep,
Lee, which I thought those two things were strange. And I think that you're right. You are fascinated by people's behavior before it became a cool thing to do. Because now all you hear about is what's the behavior of this particular group. And you were doing it, really way back in 2005, I guess,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
really looking at these things. And how do you think that behavior looking, your interest in people has shifted over the years? I mean, how do you start something when there's really no market for it, and all of a sudden you're helping create that market?
Well, you know what's funny? In the beginning, I didn't know that was my drive. You find out along the way that
Yeah.
is the drive. I can remember that I worked at a for an agency at a insurance company, Holland, and we had a digital campaign, and all of a sudden everything spiked. And what had happened that there was a PR release that had been brought out, and I didn't know about. And I was going around, people, what the hell is going on? Because my figures are through the roof, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then we found out that the correlation of being in the attention of PR helps people click, in this instance, the banners that we
Mm.
had. So people were interested, and that spiked my interest of, okay, why did this happen? How can we
Mm.
sort of
Okay.
put this into a way of working? And that was before people started talking about digital ecosystems
Yeah.
and
Yeah, totally.
multi-channel, whatever you call it. So yeah, those things happened during my career a few times, either being an agency side or being a client, and even like you
Hmm.
said, having a social media strategy and production company. Everything was to do storytelling before storytelling was
Yeah.
a name.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I think that's true to do storytelling before it became a thing because everybody says they do it now. And I also love how you talk about this curiosity, right? This curiosity about why someone's behavior, what caused this behavior. And I see a lot of people having this curiosity like you've had for as long as I've known you, which is a very long time. I'm going to talk about the Dutch Cowboys because that was such a big part of also when I knew you, what was happening in the Netherlands. And you were a blogger and an event reporter. And so, compounding all the other things you did, how did that real storytelling affect all the other jobs that you've done in
Yeah,
terms of
it's so
brands?
the moment you met me, I had
Yeah.
two hats on. Because
Yeah.
I was, at the one hand, I was at Sara Lee, which had
Yeah.
Douwe Egberts, which is one of the biggest coffee brands we have in the Netherlands. And they
Delicious
were
coffee.
the good machines have this coffee. They also
Yeah.
sell under a name of Senseo, and that's not the same quality. But anyway,
Okay.
so I was at that company, and there were about 10 brands, billion-dollar brands, from Sanex, Omnipure, Douwe Egberts, and I was their digital representative in the board. So we had about 100 million
I see.
media budget running over Europe, and at the same time, I was a blogger. So I
Mm.
sort of combined my passion for that with the need to be at events like mobile is it, in Barcelona. Help me out
Oh,
here.
Mobile World
Mobile World
Congress.
Conference. Yes, there
Yeah.
we go. So I was sort of
I sort of black out around Mobile World Congress. I'm sort of like, oh no, not another one.
No, no. So, but I was there and in with two roles basically. So the blogger,
Mm,
event reporter, and having my role in digital within a company that was sort of lagging but wanting to move
yeah.
further.
Yeah.
And I was their evangelist, as you will.
Yeah. I think it's a great combination too. And I think so many people today think they can only do, or even then, I think they can only do one thing. And I really love that about who you are as a person. You're taking all these things and rolling them together, which is a lot like I like to do. And now it's a little more common, but I do think that there's so many different aspects to a person or things that you're interested in, that all of these things that you've done, from the blogger, event reporter, the mobile development, integrating like
Hmm.
people's behavior, all kind of coalesces. It's all part of creating a holistic approach to getting somebody's brand out there, or creating a mobile strategy that actually works. Because when you were doing that, phones were just coming on the market.
Yeah.
They You remember? I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
because
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Netherlands, we were just holding those phones in our hand at all those socials, and people at that time, do you remember everyone was like, you're going to walk by a shoe store and
Yeah, no.
someone's
So
going to throw a
we went
coupon at
with a
you?
group of people that was, let's say, ahead of the market.
Yeah, you guys were the
We
Dutch mafia, I call you. You were totally
yeah.
ahead of the market.
And Layer came out, so augmented reality was already a thing back then.
Yeah.
And I remember that we're meeting up in a bar, in an Irish bar in Amsterdam. And everybody knew that sort of when one of us came in, you were with the phone people. You need to be in the back. So it
Oh
was
my
sort of
God.
we were sitting around with our phones on the table, and that was for us is a normal thing. We
Yeah.
were
But you were.
checking.
It's true. I mean, you
Yeah,
were. I was there then, and not there wasn't one Dutch person that didn't have a phone. Where everybody else at those mobile Mondays all didn't. Like they kind of
yeah.
didn't.
I think you had Joseph Pine on, right?
Yes,
So
Joseph
he
Pine, and he spoke at Mobile Monday.
exactly, and I remember I was there as well. I remember
Yeah.
his talk with the multi dimensions, the seven dimensions, I think,
Yes. And that was
and
a
that
while
inspired.
ago.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah, but
never had a audience that listened that well, that was really getting what he was going to.
but think about it, Mark. He was really way out ahead of the curve.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, he
I
was.
think it makes sense that he was in the Netherlands, that he was in Amsterdam doing these Mobile Mondays, because he was talking to a group of people who were also way out ahead of the curve. And I
Yeah,
think
but
on
we,
our
we didn't
podcast, we did
realize, of
talk. He said,
course.
but you guys got, yeah, just a little bit. Don't you think you kind of knew you were ahead just a little? You guys were very confident, bordering arrogant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but I think
I
that's the Dutch thing. If you're very
yeah,
enthusiastic about something,
yeah, yeah,
you tend to want to make sure that people understand it's really important
yeah,
that you get that
yeah,
point. And then so
yeah.
we tend to say you have to, and that's sort of our way of you should consider.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a really good nuance in the language. I think Joe even said, like, were we at Mobile Mondays? And I said,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And and we did speak afterwards, and he was talking about how he felt that, that audience really got it. And at that time was 2008, maybe, I think, 8 or 9.
yeah, yeah,
And like you said, this was the beginning of it all. And I do think that the Dutch tech scene there, and your group, the Dutch Cowboys and all those guys, you guys were really pushing boundaries. You were pushing, I think also there was some tech. Do you remember this, where you could touch your phone to another phone with a little gadget and it
yeah,
would
yeah,
automatically send your contacts? I don't remember the
yeah.
name of that company.
Yeah, it was Renato Valls almost.
Something like that. Yeah.
He was the co-founder of Card Cloud, I think it was called.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Layer was also ahead of its time as well. I mean,
Yeah,
so I think a lot of those well, I learned a lot certainly from you and from other people in that market. And so, I mean, obviously, is Dutch Cowboy still around, or is it
they
gone?
are. Yeah, yeah. It's a
What?
publishing blog, and they're still alive. I'm not sure if they're as big as they used to be. And I'm not really affiliated with them anymore. But
Yeah. Because you were there a
I
long
know the
time.
founder, and
Yeah.
it's one call away. But yeah, sometimes just things happen, right? So
Yeah. Well, what are some of the things that you're doing now that are there anything you can talk about? Any digital
Yeah.
strategy or any special companies that you can, or any trends you're seeing? I like to hear about
Um,
those.
okay, so let's take one at a time.
Yeah. Okay. One at a
When
time.
from where I'm coming from, I used to be an interaction designer. That's my study that I did. And I went into agency side. I did some time at the client side and media. And if you combine everything, you start to see how things can work better, be it
Hmm.
at a company or for a brand that sort of is the halo of the company, or if you're an agency side. And so I've now sort of moved uh, my trade into making sure that strategy of a company or an agency is mostly sort of reviewed and seen if it's is performing well enough, and I can, with the knowledge I've acquired, I can easily see where things aren't as organized as they should be, or there is a missing construct that sort of helps them sell better.
Mm,
I'm now working with a company where they were focusing on a audience, which was a good audience choice, but they were
hmm.
missing a whole part of the market where they could sell the same knowledge and the same way of working, and maybe get more continuous budget in instead of
Mm.
one off. And at the same time, I'm looking at the brand. Okay, the brand needs to be
Yeah.
revised to perform better, and the all the channels you use in digital should be consistent, and they should be with the right content and supported by paid media. So that for me, that's easy to digest and see do in a
Yeah.
deep dive of a few
Yeah.
days. But that's only because I've been around for a bit longer.
What do you call yourself though? Now that we're on that topic, when you talk to people, are
Well,
you
brand powered media
okay?
is the fancy name that I give myself.
Okay.
And behind me are sort of a set of people that work with me where
Hmm.
I need to. So if I need to have digital content production, I know who to call, where to be. If I need a business strategist for a sort of let's look at the business model and calculate them through, I do the starting point and have someone that works with me on that side. So
Hmm.
whatever is needed, I have a network that I can tap into.
I love that model, actually. I sometimes still find it odd to think that people staff up at these agencies with all these people when it's much more agile and lean to come to somebody like you at your company. And then, you see the big picture and all the pieces and you just pull in people as you need them. Like, who really cares so much about these huge agency models? I,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
that
struggling a bit with all the same old, same old. Like, that's why I like what you're doing. It's a little more inventive and you're bringing all your expertise to bear. They're paying for that big picture view that you can give them.
Yeah, and it sort of it caters better to the needs that are in play. So
Yeah.
if I need to be in UK or in US, I can easily travel there within a few
Hmm.
days,
Yeah.
and I'm not sort of attached to any company being where people need to be told what to do. I have them in my Slack and I
Yeah.
have them in
Yeah.
my email and my phone, so it's just
Yeah.
that easy. And where I am, it's sort of the
Yeah.
time zone may be restricting a bit, but
Mm.
that's also something you can survive.
I don't know. I mean, I started my company in 2000 on the West Coast of the United States and then moved to the Netherlands in 2007. And my clients were spread out all over time zone. And it wasn't one person at my company that was in the same country ever. And I always felt like it was an advantage because the client almost had like around the clock coverage in a way, one team's going offline, other teams working. Didn't have any complaints.
Yeah, yeah. That I've had a client in Texas,
Yeah.
and
Woohoo.
we used to have talks at the same moment in time where it was sort of easy for me and for them.
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
the time that they were done with their workday, I would start my workday again.
Yes, exactly.
And by their next morning, they would have a finished plan or a content
Yes,
or whatever.
exactly. I love that. And I do think it makes things a lot more agile for sure. I mean, that's how we worked. We had so many clients in Israel or we'd be on the West Coast and it's that same sort of like turning of the clock exactly like you just said. I think people enjoy it. What sort of
Yeah.
trends are you seeing in the work that you're doing? Any AI trends or any things that people are backing off of?
Well, so yes, AI is. I think it's when the introduction of the iPhone was. This is that. It's
Mm.
as big or
Oh,
bigger than that.
yeah.
And it sort of changed everybody's perception on what is a phone, what do you do with it, and what and the societal impact
Mm.
it has been enormous. And this
Yeah.
will have that too. The only thing is the velocity of it will be much faster than
Yeah.
everybody understands. And so I now talk to creative agencies and I tell them your model is going to tank, but it's not. It's okay because you just have to be smarter with the start of the campaign and
Mhm.
realize more in effective behavior and matching that to the campaign you're doing, which means
Mhm.
we have a construct, we have a marketing campaign we want to do, we think of everything we need to do, we need to make the assets and then launch. And we launch with a very small set of creative. Is it video? Is it the banner? Whatever. But and then work each week with AI in place as a tooling, as a possibility to create faster and better, tailored to multiple
Mm.
audiences at the same time, because
Mhm.
that's what AI is giving you, and we couldn't do that before.
Mhm.
So the beginning of a campaign, constructing a campaign was harder then because you had to have everything finished and then you sort of press play, and
Mhm.
then everything was sent and you hope that it went well. Now you can start a campaign and every week you can adjust where you need to. If it's creative, it's video, it's copy, it's
Mhm.
everything can be more agile in that sense because the
Okay.
tooling is getting better.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that I mean, I'm extrapolating two things for you. I'm feeling that when you talked about effective behavior there, that behavior is becoming even more important than when you started because of AI in a way where it gives you the ability to work faster and sort of adjust each week rather than just waiting over these longer chunks. Is that
Plus,
kind of what I'm
you're
hearing?
closer to your audience because you can
Yeah.
diversify it better
Yeah.
and create the content that's right for a certain part of the audience in a certain
Mhm.
geographical state or in a channel.
Hmm.
And the production costs are very low compared to what it used to be.
So, how do you think people are going to, though, keep using AI as we continue to, evolve? Because I do think there's a lot of experimentation right now. I was speaking to a young data scientist recently who works for a healthcare company, and he was saying that he uses Chat GPT to help him formulate the code to make him do it all the heavy work so that he can save brain power, and then he just goes back and rechecks the code. So
Yeah.
he's using it more because I said, "Well, how do you know that code is genuine?" He goes, "Oh, I just know. I can just look at it and see." Right, which is a little bit different than I think
Well,
researching a paper where you're
yeah.
finding these. How do you go back and back channel and reference a source? So I'm just
Well,
wondering if we're going to see a lot of different ups and downs depending on how it's used.
So the AI as we know it now is sort of limited to ChatGPT for most people,
Yeah, yeah,
which isn't right. I think
yeah,
AI is way more layered than that,
yeah. I agree.
and we'll see much more the possibility to create your own AI engine and run
Oh,
that on your data, and your
oh,
data is something that you validated, you did the quality check on, so it's not a black box.
yeah,
The way that that data is then constructed into whatever you need to be, that's
yeah.
the power of AI. And if it's a visualization of something based on a non-biased graphics that you imported in that database to work with,
Mm-hmm.
then that's going to give you a lot of quality with the speed of AI and with the sort of the
Mm.
ability to create something in a very short term or correlate better to different types of input. So the I think the fear that people have for AI now is not something that we need to see a lot of in the coming future because of the ability to steer the input that you give it, the data that you give it, and how you can work with it. If it's medical, then you just send in the data that you have on the
Mm-hmm.
patients that you have worked with.
I
Or if
really,
you,
really love this view because you make so much sense. This idea of steering this with the input that you give it instead of relying on gigantic, big, heavy data sets that could be biased that you can't quantify or qualify even.
yeah, and it's the strength will lie in quality of input of data, and the
Mm-hmm.
correlation of different types of AI that sort of are helping each other to go through a set of stages. So people now have a video. They make sure that the dialogue is put into text, then make that into a short text in different formats to different channels. It's very practical driven. But there is another layer that's much more complex. Like for instance, if you're talking about medical science, if you're talking
Yeah.
about logistics over the world for an airliner, there is a lot of ways that will work for them. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't even realize that, and they're already getting scared of what the
Yeah,
possibilities could,
it's
could do.
true. I think that's what
Yeah.
we do, though. We have a hype bubble where reporters or journalists just basically reducing these things down to their most common denominator, which, I mean, if Twitter's a hot mess. You can read a whole chain on. I do know a guy who's like, does a lot of neuro he's a neuroscientist and he does
Mhm.
a lot of experimentation with AI. And he actually did something quite folly like, and I will send you his is at Dr. Pete, Dr. underscore Pete. And
Okay.
he actually this AI created this whole fantastical story about this kingdom of vegetables, and it had the Radish King and it had the Onion Confederacy, and it was this whole story that this Radish King was trying to sell to his shareholders. And the stretch of text were quite moving. I mean, I was
Hmm.
literally moved by some of these stories. It was so it wasn't real though, right? But the amount of like creativity that this thing had come up with how they were going to be marginalized by the Onion Confederacy because they had a new weapon called the peelizer. Like that's really what I know, right? And in the end, he ended up making a bunch of mistakes, the Radish King, and he was saying, remember, we will not be peeled, we will not be blanched, we will not be boiled, stay crunchy. And it's very entertaining, and I actually really enjoy it, but it made me just really think about the things you have just said between this like personal AI engine versus the more
Yeah.
complex applications of AI.
So I think the power of AI now needs to be guided by people that are living it day by day because it's moving
Like
so
Dr. Pete.
fast.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's for one example. But it's moving
Yeah.
so fast,
Yeah.
and so it's hard to keep up if you're not sort of in a
Yeah.
daily deep dive into that information. So the AI guides and the strategists, those are the ones who are going to help companies move from it may
Yeah.
be too big and scary to okay, but
Yeah.
what can we do small and simple, but still
Yeah.
effective and as smart as AI can be to work out something that may speed up, let's say, data crunching 20 to 50%.
Hmm.
In time wise, right?
Yeah.
That can help a production process be more effective within a matter of weeks because the data is just worked through better and the solutions are easier to get to.
I like
Um,
that. And I also did read where they're starting to hire AI prompt writers now, people to literally
yeah,
write the prompts, which is
it,
fascinating.
it
It's making a new like job.
yeah, and then I think that's the limitation of AI at the moment. The interface is now
Yeah.
in a big turn. It's sort of text based, which is strong in itself. But then you have to be a good prompt writer to get the right
Yeah.
information and then think in sequences. So we now have say first prompt, and then you have to have sequence, and and
Hmm.
then it comes down to where it needs to be. And but you will see that in the next year you'll see interfaces getting up which be much more visualized. So Minority Report is the best sort of way of putting it. But if you've
Yeah.
seen that movie,
Yeah.
people are the data is there. The way to combine things and get things together. That will
Yeah, I love
be
that. That's a great
the next step.
example. Yeah. All right. That's the next step. So, we're already talking for 30 minutes. Isn't that amazing? I knew this would happen. Blah, 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 blah. I want to ask you a couple more things. One is kind of serious and one is completely, well, I think it's kind of serious. So tell me about maybe what you think, like, what's wrong with tech today. Is there anything that's bothering you about what you're seeing in technology today, or misuse, or you're just pretty much thinking it's bounced along in the right direction?
um, I
That's a
think.
hard question for everybody, actually.
Well, it doesn't have to be. In my mind, I think it's sort of on the one hand, it's been very much sort of easy to start a new tech company today, and get traction faster. With You don't have to have the same budget as you had before, but your success can also be gone within days.
That's a good point.
So the effort you put in, the weeks, months, and years to build up a startup can be really demolished in days because of
Hmm.
either registration or Meta copying what you have, and then you're gone.
Mm. Yeah. Or your
So
bank
those
going out of business, going bankrupt. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah. We're not the SVB.
There's
Yeah.
also that an elephant in the room. Yes.
So
I
that
think it
that
was a
sort
lot,
of
a lot different in fundraising when we first met, where, people, like you said, it took longer to get the money. You'd get the money and then you built this runway. And then, like, yeah, exactly. It took a little bit longer to fail. And now it's like
but
almost like a steep
the,
cliff.
the good thing is people then got a lot of money for
Yeah.
a story, and not through figures. What the
Oh,
past
yeah.
year to 2 years has brought in is that the sensibilization of hey, I'm going to give you money, but you have to
Yeah.
show me that you have a liquidity position. You get money in, and that your concept is successful in the sort of way that we trust you to get that money going in the right way. And of course, we hear
Yeah.
the big stories
Yeah.
of the strange stealth story who got 100 million. But I think if you
Yeah.
talk about 80% of the VC market or the private investment market,
Yeah.
they now want to see cash, they want to see
Yeah.
liquidity, they want to see continuation of the model, and the risk avoidance. Uh, I think it's a good trend. I don't.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be in that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also heard where they're actually proposing to get rid of this unicorn concept, which of course was stupid to begin with, because first of
Yeah.
all, unicorn's not real. Number one, it's a mythical creature. And now there's this proposal of like a zebra with the new flock of startups. I'm like, maybe we just don't call them names and focus on the business model. Maybe we
Yeah.
just forget all this. Yeah. The zebra to
Yeah.
unicorn.
Sounds
I would
better.
support that. Yeah, it does. And so the big other smile elephant in the room is everybody I've talked to from the Netherlands somehow really wants to talk about Dutch food. The last time I spoke to Dimitri Vugel, we talked about Dutch pastries and chocolate sprinkles and things. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So, are you putting De Ruyter sprinkles on your breakfast food? And is this your favorite Dutch breakfast food?
No, no, it isn't. But yeah. I think I have a few things that are typically Dutch. That bitterballen,
Okay.
you must have discussed somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Bitterball. No one's talked about that yet. Yes.
Ah,
Those are
well, yeah,
delicious.
yeah, but
And you can get them out of a
they're
machine. You can get them out of a machine there.
yeah,
Put a
yeah,
coin in, a little oven, a window, and they just come right out. It's brilliant.
yeah. But I mean, and I sort of I'm the one that could be in a restaurant that's a 3-star Michelin restaurant in one evening, and very much enjoy that. And then the next
Yeah.
morning, I could go into a stall and eat a haring. I don't know if you that's a herring is a kind of fish that
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Dutch
yeah.
also
That's like a,
eat.
okay. Pickled, right?
Yes. No,
Yes. Like a
no, no, no,
whitefish.
no, not always. So it can be pickled, but so if
Okay.
when you eat it out of a stall on the market, most of the time
Yeah.
it's just fresh and raw, and it
Oh,
has a
okay.
sort of a few onions with it, and that's it.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
Dutch food. It's a big topic. Everybody that I speak to from the Netherlands. Okay, we haven't talked about haring from a stall, dipping it a little bit of onion. We have not talked about bitterballen. And then that's interesting because everybody else has been talking about sweet things, and also
Hmm.
friet with oorlog sauce, the war sauce, right? Mayonnaise and peanut
Yeah.
sauce, satay
Yeah.
sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're the first
Yeah.
one to stumble upon these sort of salty things here. It's a thing. I'm in love with
Yeah.
oliebollen.
Right. Well, I mean, those are sold,
Yeah.
I think, 1 month a
The
year
holiday.
or
Yeah.
something like
Like
that.
a,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
the Christmas holiday
I,
season.
I had them in Kreuningen once, literally like 2 days before Christmas, and I was madly in love with those things. Like, give me the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
cart. They were delicious.
Yeah, they are.
Well, anything you want to leave us with? Any parting last words? Or obviously I'm going to put in the notes, everybody, I'm going to put Mark's company. So if you're literally looking for a global digital strategist, someone that understands people behavior, I please call him because this is the guy. Also, he has curly hair like me. So curly headed people rule the world. Um, put that in the notes so people can see it. And are there any famous last words you want to leave us with?
No. I just want to compliment you on what you're doing in this series. I've listened to almost everyone by
Oh,
now, and
wow. Thank
I'm
you.
thoroughly enjoying it. So
Oh,
I wish you
okay.
all the luck with this,
Well, thank you. Thank you so
and of
much. I
course,
hope you'll.
when you get to Europe, you have to pass by Holland, and I will do the same
Oh,
when I get to your region.
you must promise. And I'm sorry that I live in Texas, but this is where I am now. But I was going to tell you. I'm telling everybody now on the podcast, but I probably will be there in May. So be prepared for a sit down with wine and one of our very long conversations about everything. And that would
Sounds
be my
good.
pleasure to see you again and your family. So it'd be lovely.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome back to the end of this Tiny Little Victories episode with Mark de Kock. And I'm going to put all of the details that allow you to connect with Mark in the show notes. So please be sure to check that out. And you can also follow him on Twitter, and you can go check out his company website, because one of the things I really admire about Mark way back in the day and today in 2023 is his super compassionate, impassioned way to approach life. And right before the Easter holiday Passover week, it was like a whole week of celebrations, I feel like. He had posted something that really just made my heart soar, because it was about, it's okay to stop. It's okay to just let go, not check in online, and just sort of lean back into life. And I really love that, because it allows you to recharge. It allows you to reconnect with your friends, with your family, with the earth. Maybe you're just walking around your garden with no shoes on. It's about resetting. And I think that's one of the things about Mark that's so fascinating to me. He is a little obsessed with behavior, but I think his obsession and his curiosity about human behavior really drives what he creates and how he lives his life. And that one comment from him before the week of celebrations made me take pause, because I thought, yeah, you know what? You don't have to check. You don't have to look. You can take your hands off the steering wheel and just let go for a little bit. So I hope that you enjoyed that conversation with Mark. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tiny Little Victories. One of the ways that you can show your appreciation is liking and sharing and commenting. So I would love it. You know, I love comments, good or bad. Please share them. I will answer them all. And also, just as a little reminder, you can listen to Tiny Little Victories on every podcast app. I'm going to say it: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, iHeartRadio. There's a lot of them. And you can also do this really cool thing. I'm just going to your web browser. Yeah, the web browser. People thought that was going to go away, but it didn't. So if you do like the podcast, I would appreciate it if you would do all those things or one of those things. And on that note, I want to tell you that next week we have a good friend of mine someone that I worked with many years ago, and someone that is an inspiration to me with how she approaches her life. And her name is Sharona Mushar. And she'll be joining us next week to talk about what she's been doing and the little things she's done to get herself through COVID and to be able to deal with a preteen who loves Ariana Grande. We'll see you next week on Tiny Little Victories.